Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Come to you live from our comfy couch here in the outskirts of the internet. This is the Gaming Saloon Reviews from March 7th, 2022, with your host, Spacewaker2448 and Rampant Epsilon.
Hello.
It's gonna be a short week, folks. We only got 3 episodes.
Yeah.
But we do have Revice, and I could tell you about how the Dawn Brothers premiere was.
Do I want to know?
I don't know. Because I don't think it's bad. But I don't think it's good either. The best way I can describe it is, would you like 1001 questions and not really a whole lot of answers as your episode 1? As the show blitzes through what feels like half of episode in the runtime of a full episode? If so, congratulations, that was the Dawn Brothers premiere. If not, I've got bad news for you. That was the Dawn Brothers premiere. What's weird is I feel like I'm like the only person who's down on it because I'm like, this is kind of a confusing mess and I don't understand what's going on, and that doesn't make me excited for a show. I kind of would like to understand something, anything, and the show's giving me nothing. But Revice, on the other hand, was far more enjoyable.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of them deciding to call Bale Vale, and I hate it. Because it is being romanized as Vale, V-A-I-L, instead of Bale, B-A-E-L. I don't know why.
I kind of couldn't tell which way, because unfortunately that is one of the few letters that the way we pronounce it and how they do is different, so it's like, I don't know which one's actually right.
Well, it's officially romanized as Vale, like on like the writer episode summary website and all that. It is being spelled as V-A-I-L officially. Like the driver is called the Vale driver. This is Comrade Vale. It is officially V-A-I-L is the official spelling in terms of romanizations. But that's terrible in my opinion, because it should be Baal, B-A-E-L, because Baal in mythology is the king of demons. Whereas Vale has nothing to do with anything within the context of the series right now. So I don't know why it's Vale. And before anyone goes, they can't do that. There must be a reason. No, they do bad romanizations like this all the time. Do I need to remind you about Gord Drive? You know, that's how you spell gold, right? G-O-R-D?
I mean, completely.
Do I need to remind you how you spell alpha as A-L-F-A?
Okay. Phonetically, that one's correct, though.
Right, but that's not how you spell alpha.
No. But phonetically, that is correct. So that one I can't get as aggravated over.
Or the continuing debate on how you spell Taj Abdor. Is it D-O-R or D-O-L?
Yeah.
Sometimes they get it wrong. It's called language is complicated. Or, oh, I don't know, why Izu's romanization is. And that makes absolutely no sense in an English context. It is terrible. That is a terrible romanization if you're trying to translate the series, because that's a word that has other uses. It makes a sentence look terrible.
Yes.
Also, if Azu is romanized as as, which they also do in the official Shout Factory release of 01, because those are the official romanizations of their names. Because so yeah, I don't like the name. I'm gonna just continue to call him Bale, just like I continue to call Jean. I don't care what everyone says. No, it's Jean. It doesn't make sense otherwise. That is literally how the driver pronounces it. Yeah, it's good. We get plot. We get all the plot. Also, did you spot a sneaky little early surprise on George's desk?
I don't think I did.
Lives upgrade was on his desk in the vice stamp holder. At the start of the episode. You can barely see it because, like, some of the, I guess, girders, like one of the bars is kind of hiding it as, like, the camera pans down. But as it's panning down, you see most of it, and it's like, oh, hi thing that's going to be important next week. You're just sitting there waiting in the wings.
Quite literally, because it's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like Bale. I think some people are assuming he's repurposed from the Kamen Rider Yongo suit. Which I don't think you've seen that suit.
I don't think in its entirety, but from what I remember, I don't know if I completely agree with that.
That suit, I posted it in chat. I don't like the chest and stuff, no, but I think the pants, the boots, the fact that it's a cloth.
That doesn't necessarily have to mean that they've repurposed it just because of that, though.
Right.
Because truth to be known, that could have been repurposed for something else even.
Right, and this also, I think, is just a jumpsuit with boots and gloves.
Yeah.
I think they literally just could have went to a local store and just went, we need a jumpsuit in this color, please. But even then, I do like that it kind of evokes this because, oh, hey, look, he kind of looks like a show writer. As the guy who precedes his kids as a writer. And also is totally not from a Shocker-esque organization.
And you know, doesn't also follow the exact trend of the last time that we did this.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Also, I don't know why people thought for a second he was using the Kabuto vice stamp, like Rider Kabuto vice stamp, when there is a very clear image of the vice stamp that circulated that showed Bale's helmet on it and not Kabuto. Like, I get it. It's a red Kabuto beetle. It should be Kabuto. That doesn't make sense giving every other fucking vice stamp in this fucking series. Yeah. I'm sorry. No, Kabuto will not be a Kabuto beetle. If they even bother to do all of the main riders, which at this point I don't think they are. Like, there's enough in the Demon's Driver to do such a thing, but I don't think they will at this point, because we're halfway through the show. And we're well past the point where regular buy stamps matter. Yeah, but Revise continues to be good. I am glad I have one good Toku thing this week. I can't wait to be the only negative person about Dawn Brothers. Like I am somehow the only negative person about Trio of Deep Sin. I listened to 2 separate podcasts. Both of them were positive on that movie. And I'm like, I'm not. Maybe it's because I don't like Saber, but I also don't think the movie's that good. But shall we get into the main stuff this week?
I guess so.
All right. It is Kamen Rider Kuuga. It is 17 through 20, technically 18 through 20. Any thoughts before we get to them in proper?
Nah.
All right, then. Episode 17, Preparation, is a clip show. I have it written that Ichigo's going over, stuff. That technically is not the case. It's actually just the narrator going, here is what has happened on Kuuga since the start of this show. And then Godai fights a Grongi in between recap segments and beats it, and that's it. That is the episode, folks. You can skip this if you so desire. Moving on. We start properly with episode 18, Loss. So, Godai is practicing his stomp routine, which is him using drumsticks to drum on whatever, because that's what stomp is. Weirdly, I'm reminded of this one time that happened. We had to do audio for something like this in high school. I'm pretty sure it was pretty much this. I don't remember. But we check in with Saotari. We find out that our beetle friend, his name is Gorum, which, surprise! It's the thing I've been calling him since he got introduced. Also, we check in with Akita real quick. She wants Godai to drop by because Gorum's doing nothing since he kind of broke apart into pieces again. And she wants Godai to touch a thing so Gorum will do something so they can study it. Because otherwise it's just doing nothing. We get another Grongi attack started up. This one kisses people next to air conditioning exhaust in order for its spores to liquidate them, essentially. According to Sabaki's description later. Because he described one of the victims of falling apart before their body could arrive. So I guess it liquidates them? But Godai gets called in once the Grongi gets spotted. We see that Minori is walking the kids because she needs to be busy for a little bit. But Godai shows up. He saves the guy from getting killed. Fights the Grongi for a bit. Gets a good hit in, but then the Grongi does the kiss, and he gets hit by the dust that the Grongi spreads with the kiss. And he seizes up and untransforms and is dying. Literally dying. Very slowly. For the rest of the episode. Ichijo shows up after the Grongi runs off. Has him rush to Sabaki, who he calls in from his date that he loses because of this. Is it the same girl from the last episode?
I feel like it is.
I do too, but I wasn't sure. He also informs Saotari about this, who tries to inform Minori, but she is again, out walking the kids. So she will be late to hearing this news. While they're investigating the crime scene, Ichijo finds a pair of glasses from a victim that has the dust on it, and he has it sent in for examination, which Sugita will be the one delivering that to Akita here in a bit. Once we're at the hospital, we find out that Goda is in rough shape because essentially, if it wasn't for the stone, he'd be dead. Like, dead.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, he is barely conscious, having difficulty breathing, and I think he is starting to turn blue from the lack of oxygen. That is him barely alive thanks to the stone at the moment. But Minori hears about this, and both her and Saotari are going to head to the hospital. Sugita delivers last to Nika, and they start analyzing it as Tsubaki gives his update to the girls. We also see that Garangi is reeling from his injuries, and our good bat friend decides to mock him about it and then get kissed himself, and now he's slowly dying, except he doesn't. Because that's your first clue that something is amiss. Because this is a weird three-parter that gives you more information than you think it does. Especially the third episode. But we'll get there. At this point, Saotari decides to head back to her office to continue looking over the text to try to find something to help. Minori decides to go back to the preschool and look after the kids because there's not much she can do here, and at least she can make sure these kids get home. Once we get to analysis of the spores, we find out that the Gronki is mushroom-based, and the spores are a form of fungus that can only survive in warm temps, which is why the guy was attacking them next to exhaust ports from air conditionings, because that's hot enough for them to live in, like, what was it, 35 to 45 degrees Celsius, which is a very specific range.
Yeah.
Which, that's like 113 to like probably like 103. So it's a good thing this one's not attacking in the summer. But with this information, Ichijo and the cops decide to investigate any and all like outdoor air conditioning units, just where fans are, and just try to find it. They put on gas masks, which very smart of them. It keeps spreading spores. If we put on a gas mask, we should be fine, as long as the filter would actually catch those. I'm also going to point out that Ichijo during this decides to carry his rifle with a scope on it into this very cramped alleyway. Ichijo, take the scope off. It's not helping. Why do you keep having your scope on your gun in close quarters combat? Stop it. Is that scope not removable? But they manage to corner it after it tries to attack one of the cops, and they get like 3 bullets in it before it runs off. But meanwhile, Godai's condition unfortunately worsens, and he flatlines. They try to revive him with CPR and with the defibrillator, but none of it works, and after a while, Godai is declared dead. This technically is then into the next episode, but we start here, and it takes us a good 5 minutes to get to that point in the next episode. So, how'd you feel about our first part?
The first episode?
Yeah, our first episode.
I kind of forgot the. We're gonna have the rider die for fill in the blank reason.
To be fair, it's the first time one of them has died in the Heisei era.
I mean, yes, but this is also the trend of.
Correct. At least they give it the gravity it deserves.
Yeah.
Of just, oh fuck, our one way of dealing with the Grongi is dead. That's not good.
But there again, as with most of it, they're dead and come back the.
Yes.
It's like, oh, okay, case in point, in Revice, I actually thought that's what set up. The whole, oh no, our main rider's dead. Oh wait, never mind. I so thought that was where they were going with that, and then they decided not to, and I'm like, okay, so we'll have another reason later. Got it.
Look, we can tease death, but we can't commit to it, then we have to figure out who to replace him with.
I kind of feel
complicated.
I kind of feel like it won't happen in Revice's case, but I could be wrong. I feel like that's that whole, they've teased it, so I feel like that might be their, hey look, we could have done it here, but we're not doing it this time around.
At most, our three main character demons will take a death for the final fight, but then return.
Oh yeah, that'll at least happen. But I'm talking about the riders themselves.
Yeah.
I don't think that's gonna.
Yeah, Vice, Loveco, and Kaguro are going to disappear for the end of the final battle, but then they will show back up either in the crossover film or in something else because they're not dead. Because we're essentially going to do the thing that happened at the end of the Den-O, at the end of Den-O. By all rights, they should be dead, but because they're main characters, they're exempt from that.
I mean, yeah.
Also, we can have them show up and be the writers, and we don't have to get the actors back in Vice in Vice's case. Because I don't doubt for a second they won't find a way to go, all right, here is Revice, but it's only Vice speaking. But anywho, shall we continue on into the other two parts?
Yes, sir.
All right, episode 19, the Artifact. So Ichijo and the cops are regrouping, and some of them may be even like, number 4 didn't show up. Guess he was busy with other stuff. Like, not even a, how dare he not show up? It's more of a, oh, well, I guess he can't bail us out every time, I guess. Which, I like that it wasn't like bad-mouthing Godai behind his back. It was more just a, oh, well, this sucks, but we got a job to do. But they end up stumbling upon a homeless man. And that's when Tsubaki calls Ichijo in his car and delivers the bad news. And I give them the credit because we see Tsubaki call Ichijo. We stay on Ichijo as presumably Tsubaki tells him. And you just see his reaction. You don't hear any of the audio. You just hear like the background sirens and like people moving about. And all you see is just Ichijo he just looks so broken by this of like, oh, fuck. He decides to be the one to tell Minori, and Tsubaki ends up being the one to tell Sawatari. But Saotari decides to continue looking into the text because, well, fuck, what else can I do? I feel like it's her way of processing it, because if I can't find an answer, he's actually dead. So there has to... Yeah. But she does land on something that more or less says that Godai's not dead. And as we see in the very next scene, our bat friend's not dead. And he got hit by the same kiss. Like, he's clearly injured from it, but he's not dead. So, clearly something's amiss. And then we see the Grongi recover, and I do like what I'm going to call foreshadowing, and that a storm rolls in after Godai is presumed dead. Because we see it raining at Saotari's office. That's technically foreshadowing for the end of the series. So remember that. But Ichijo goes to Minori, tells her I'm not sure how to describe her reaction, because she seems hopeful that Godai will come back because he's Kuuga, and I guess it's weird. Maybe he's not dead. Maybe she's kind of hopeful, but I also feel like there's a look between the two of them later that, like, says a lot without any words about their relationship when it comes to something like this, of like, oh, you're probably holding this in because, yeah. Because we find out later that Godai's, like, their mom died when Godai was 18. And I think, is Godai older than Minori?
I feel like it's implied that way.
I feel like he's got a couple years on her. Like, not like there's not a major gap between them, but he's got at least a couple years on her. So she would have been probably 16 when this happened. But yeah, it's once more one of those things that I'm noticing on this rewatch of, there's things unspoken with Godai that say a lot if you're willing to do interpretations of it, because the show doesn't say anything and doesn't really back it up with anything. But we then check in with Tsubaki as he checks on Godai's body, and it's still warm, which should not be the case for a dead man. But he's warm, and when Saotari calls, she tells him that essentially he's in a healing coma. He's unconscious, but the stone is healing him. So Tsubaki decides to just leave him be. And he even turns the light on for him, which... Okay, he turns the light on for him, but he doesn't cover him back up. I feel like he should have covered him back up at least. But we follow the Grongi at this point as it's recovered, and is now stronger because now it can just spread the spores wherever it walks, and just we see it just walk up a staircase and people just drop right next to him, which is not good. But this continues into the next day. The cops try to attack it. They all get hit. But that's when Godai shows up as Kuuga, because the nurse ran in or walked into him, I guess, fully recovering. But then we cut to the cops and getting attacked, and we see the Grongi try to go after Ichijo, but then it stops, looks up, which is weird because Godai's just in front of him. And then we see Godai running in his growing form, because he's not yet fully recovered. So he's fighting the Grongi. He tries to do his kick, but the glyph is only partially there. So he has to kick him twice more, the third time of which, tapping into the tiniest amount of mighty he can to change the gems on his boots to red. That is how much power he can muster into his proper form, is that he can barely change the gems to red in order to kick. But the third kick completes the glyph, monster goes boom, and parts of him go flying, which is important for the next episode. And that takes us to our final episode, episode 20, Smile. So, Ichijo's driving Godai around to go check in with people since, kind of died, kind of told people you died. Probably need to, talk to them about this.
And maybe tell everyone the magic rock thing kept him from not dying.
Yeah. But we also see him workshop the whole Cho Henshin phrase we hear in the opening for when he's sight changing, which him and Emu are the only people who do this.
Yeah.
Which I feel like him doing this, doing that, is a reference to Godai.
I mean, it would make sense.
Except he does Dai Henshin instead of Cho Henshin. But I guess it's to make it his own while still having that reference.
Yeah.
But I do like that as Godai's doing this, Ichijo is just happy. He's just smiling. And he also just lets Godai just drum out a beat and then just sing into the police radio or the police megaphone that's on the car as they're driving by. Because I have to think Ichijo's like, okay, you're not dead. I don't care. Do whatever you want today, because I'm just happy. Because also the end of the last episode, I forgot to mention, when Godai gives Ichijo the thumbs up, when Ichijo comes in, you see him be happy and then go, "You're late," and then walk away, just giving the thumbs up behind him over his shoulder. Which I love that he tries to be formal with him, but it's clear that it's just I'm saying this because anything else would probably be far more emotional than I'm willing to deal with today.
Fair.
Anywho. We drop by Tsubaki first as he more or less explains that the stone dropped the temperature in his body to flush the fungus out, then warmed him up to repair the damage, and that is how Godai survived. How the stone did this, in terms of it seemed to have some sort of sentience, is beyond him because that is not his department. Go talk to the woman who looks at the text. She probably understands this better than me. So our next stop will be Sawatari, but in between, we check in with some fishermen who spot a piece of our previous Grongi in the water, and it starts growing and stuff and beating, which is not a good sign. But over to Sawatari, of course, Godai has to climb in and try to scare her with the same mask from episode 1, and she of course knows this because Ichijo walked in and she's like, "Where's Godai?" And he's like, she's like, "Oh, yeah, of course." But this is when we find out the name of the stone, and that it's called the Amadam. But we don't get much more than it because that and the healing stuff is apparently coded, kind of, in the Lento text. It's not explicitly stated what the Amadam is. All they can know is that there's one in the belt, and then there's one in the Goron. And that's kind of it. They don't even get into where this stone came from. Put a pin in that. We'll get to it at the end of the episode. This is when we see Godai head to the school. So he can do his whole stomp routine for the kids. And again, like I mentioned earlier, there's a look between Godai and Minori. Godai even apologizes for the whole situation. But again, there's just this look of like, there's a long conversation here that they're having just with no words. And from what we got told earlier in the episode with Godai, like, yeah, I'm willing to bet they probably have had a conversation like this before, because something like this might have happened between them. Anywho, he does the performance thing, and then we more or less have to head off to Ikeda, because they try to feed the Gorum the metal and stuff that he's absorbing. It's not working. So they're like, Godai, come touch the stone so it will do a thing, so we can scan it. But before then, they go have lunch at Pol Pol. And, okay, who are the 5 Men in Black agents with them? Are they Godai's escort for today?
Possibly.
Because they're, like, at the bar at Pol Pol, there's these 5 Men in Black agents. And then at the end of the bar, it's Godai and Ichijo. And they're just having a conversation with the regulars there. As these 5 guys are just in sync, just eating curry, just having a drink, just like, oh yeah, it's good. And not much else. And I'm like, this is the first time we've seen anybody around Godai with the cops that isn't just Ichijo. I wonder if this is just Ichijo's like, you're getting an escort today because you're not dying on me again. Because I don't know how else to explain these 5 Men in Black agents. But then we head to the research center. Kita has Godai touch the stone. Initially it doesn't work, but then he touches kind of where his stone is. And then the Gorum activates, it absorbs the metal, reforms. Yay! But as it's doing that, they get called into the lab because a piece of the Grongi from before has started growing. And all the credit to Godai for immediately going, burn it. Burn it, burn it, burn it. It doesn't matter what this is, it needs to burn. Because he immediately grabs a burner and a lighter and just lights the sumbitch on fire. And everybody lets it burn for a little bit until he's just like, alright, that's enough, and just sprays it down. Because I guess it burned long enough to die. But because of this, they're like, oh, that's not good. And then a report comes in of the Grongi is back from last episode, which is, oh, that's really not good. And then we follow it attacking the cops and stuff, but it's not attacking with its fungus attack. It's just beating up the cops. So Godai arrives, fights it for a bit. He kicks it, delivers the glyph, but it doesn't explode. It just kind of melts into just a human-shaped thing in the ground. And they're all baffled as to why it didn't explode, because all the others exploded. And that's where we leave the episode. But 2 quick questions. Did you watch into the episode preview? Or did you see like the to be continued screen for this episode? Okay, this one has a special one that is a bit of foreshadowing. 2, did you notice something different with the Grongi suit this time around from the previous episode?
Kind of.
Well, he's missing his little belt piece. You know, the thing the Rose Lady keeps touching whenever one of them decides to go do their thing?
Yeah.
That's important. There's a reason in this exact same episode they tell you, by the way, here's the name of the stone. That stone in the belt's important. If you're just doing a quick little math of 2 + 2 = 4, you're probably correct. Anywho, what do you think of the back half of our episodes?
I mean, the show still keeps me. It's kind of, a good change of pace considering.
Yeah. I'm trying to, just notice more stuff with Godai and all that, and it feels nice to just go, all right, I'm looking for stuff that isn't the plot of this show, because I know the plot of this show. I'm very familiar with the plot of the show at this point. I'm looking for the extra bits. And it's nice to go, oh, there are little extra things here and there that just are unspoken and left to the viewer. Yeah, show, still good. Still really good. Any other thoughts?
No.
All right, then Wednesday, we either finish Prime 2 or just continue Prime 2. It just all depends on how the bosses decide to treat us.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Because we're close.
Thursday, I'm doing a little buffer stream of Pokemon Sword. Just trying to catch some legendaries and stuff. We'll see how that goes. Saturday, we talk shop on the podcast. I probably won't put in the thing about Quantic Dream, but there probably should be some other stuff. Especially since WD2K22 came out today, I believe. Because I saw Giant Bomb's quick look. And yeah, they confirmed that 36 people on the roster do not work for the company anymore. And I think the 2K22 roster is like 60-something.
Well.
So that's like half the roster. Just don't work at the company anymore. Some of which are at a rival wrestling company. Specifically AEW, but yeah. And then Sunday, we continue our look at Kuuga. So, if you like what you're seeing, drop a follow. Really appreciate it. Shipping away that affiliate code at TGZone on Twitter gets you updates on the live. Express Point Discord and chat. Because this link, drop by, say hi. See you Wednesday, folks.